No surprise here. We're going to kick off with Manchester United. We make no apologies for it, Manchester United fans, because you are out of the Champions League. You are out of Europe. I mean, Danny, the headline and the ramifications after that, this is Manchester United, and next up for them, your old place at Anfield on Sunday. So they've got to go there. We're going to hear from Ten Hag in a moment. I mean, obviously the spotlight falls on him. I said it in the introduction, Danny, but I want to know the answer to this. With so much on the line last night, how could these players put in such a nothing performance?
Well, they didn't go out of the Champions League because of last night. It was the build-up and previous poor performances. I actually thought the first half especially was the right way to play against Munich. They were compact. They didn't go gung-ho because they'd have got done, Jim. If they'd have gone all out gung-ho from minute one, they'd have got done. And I thought the level of intensity was good. I thought they were in the game. The disappointment was the second half, because then the gloves have got to come off. You've got to take the risk. If you're going to go out, you might as well go out on your shield.
Well, I mean, keep the boxing analogy going. They didn't lay a glove on them. They had to win that game.
Well, and then ultimately you have to ask yourself why. And the reality is the lack of quality and belief in that United side at the moment. They weren't capable of running through Bayern and giving them a game second half. They run out of puff, because Bayern are very good at keeping the ball, working United players, playing through the lines, back in, back out, back round, and United didn't have enough in them to get. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Didn't lay a glove on them second half, and I think overall it's what they deserve. Their performances in the Champions League weren't good enough. Full stop.
Yeah, end of. And now we're mid-December, Gary, and they've gone. Gary, you've recently been in the technical area. You know what it's like to operate in that environment. Ten Hag knows what it's all about now. If he doesn't in his time at Manchester United, then he damn well should do. This was Ten Hag post-match.
No, not with regret. We want to be in, and the target was always to overwinter. And we didn't make it, but we have to accept it. We have to learn from it. Also, that we play some good football in the Champions League. And for instance, Reynolds scored five times, and that's a very good performance. And you have to take that belief into the Premier League, and I think that counts for the whole team. We have to take some good performance into the Premier League, and we want to be back again in the Champions League. So we have to qualify us over the Premier League.
Gary, is that what happens? I mean, say you're Ten Hag and you're out of Europe last night. Erik, come along now, you've got your media duties to do. He's obviously thought, right, I'm going to try and be positive. So we'll learn from it. It's what's happened, and we'll learn from it. Honestly, is that the best that he can do at that particular time? Is that the way you would handle it?
I think there's a challenge, isn't there, as a manager when you face the media. Firstly, you're usually emotionally attached to the game a little bit, and it's sometimes difficult not to, part of it is not saying the wrong thing. So I think he's just chose to, rather than talk about, the 3-3 draw in Galatasaray, rather than talk about losing 4-3 to Copenhagen, and some of the things that probably put them in the 1 winning 6 in the group that put them in that situation. He's chose to talk about something that might have a positive spin, i.e. the league campaign with no European football. So I suppose, I don't think that's going to fool anyone. It's not going to fool the Man United fans, but you have to try to find something to move forward. There's no point talking about something that's just gone. I mean, and maybe being out of Europe I know it's not acceptable for a club like Man United, but maybe going out of Europe might just mask a few issues that they've got at the moment. I mean, scoring 18 goals to someone like Villa's 35. I mean, it's quite an incredible disparity for a club like Man United. And,
exactly. It is what do you see, Gary, when you watch Manchester United at the moment?
Well, we were talking about it earlier, and Danny made a really good point about, sometimes you want to see a clear identity that continually happens. That's what you want to see as a manager, and that the players are taking on board things. I think he's in such a difficult moment. It's the inconsistency for me with Man United that's the problem. I mean, they can go and win a game 3-0, then lose to someone like a Bournemouth, and that's no disrespect, 3-0. They can win a game and play well, and he gets manager of the month for a period of games. Then they go and put a really poor performance in. And I think the challenge at the moment, they are so up and down, which for me speaks a little... Does it speak about the management, the coaching, or does it speak about the character of the squad in general? I don't know if that's an
I think it's a bit of both.
You know.
And the problem is that manager of the month and those games, last minute winner Brentford, 1-0 home to Luton, just got over the line at Sheffield United, Fulham last minute, mistake from Fulham, keeper makes a mistake, Fernandes scores. I don't know where the ups have been. It's not been a roller coaster of ups and downs quite, I don't think. The goods are the general level of their performance has been bad. Consistently through.
And who's that down to? Is that Ten Hag not getting the message through to the players, or is that the players are simply not delivering and should move out of there, move on?
Well, the responsibility rests with the manager, because he does the coaching and dictates the patterns of play, and he also chooses the players that play.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem United have had this season in the games I've seen, and I've seen 70% of them, too easy to play against, and that's because tactically they're all over the place, wide open spaces. I mean, first half against Bayern was the best they've been defensively in ages. But when they play most weeks, they're very easy to play against. They don't have the athleticism and defensive discipline that teams have to be successful. I'm talking about basics, tracking runners, winning your challenges, all the normal things, closing down in packs. It doesn't look like they're well coached, and I'm sure he is coaching them, but it doesn't look like he is. So the message isn't being heard.
Yeah.
If he is coaching them patterns of play and a tactical plan, I'm very rarely seeing it. So that means there is some responsibility from the players, yes, of course, as always, but he's brought a lot of them in.
Let me ask you this, Dan, as we head to the break. If this was Anfield last night with Liverpool needing a win against Bayern Munich to stand any chance, would it have been as quiet as Old Trafford was and flat as Old Trafford was last night?
Well, I wouldn't be blaming the fans. At the beginning of the game, there was a bit of a buzz. The players have to get the fans going. But
the longer it went on.
Yeah, it was. But Liverpool's a different beast. When Liverpool even when Liverpool was struggling a bit in the league, the European nights, for example, you remembered. I mean, they won the Champions League and finishing outside the top four. Liverpool, if I've played in games where I remember we played Roma once and we had to beat them by 2 to get qualify. Similar thing to last night.
Yeah,
they were done after 10 minutes. We steamrolled them. I mean, we hit them with everything we had and went after them. And they had better players. They had some wonderful players then, Totti and all that lot. And we absolutely scared them. Did not give them a minute.
And I don't think that United side last night is capable of doing that to Bayern Munich.
No, probably
what
not.
you just described.
No.
I don't think they can.
It's not, no. You're right. Paul
Scholes was speaking last night, Guy. We'll speak about this, the other side of this upcoming break. In terms of the summer transfer window, United should have done this and that, and then they wouldn't have had the problems they're experiencing at the moment. But if they'd got certain players, yeah, it might have made a difference. But why do they think they're now entitled to get the biggest names in the game? Because these days, United, I would argue, are not up there in terms of getting the best players available. We'll talk about that next. Danny's alongside myself and Gary Rowett, and we are live on talkSPORT.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.